Here's a game, the Bears, and this is a little more interesting than I think people think because the Bears Justin Fields is actually playing, and he played really well against the Lions in a loss. He throat gagged and threw that game away in the end after playing the guitar middle at the 50-yard line, looking like an asshole. They looked stupid in the end when Aiden Hutchinson punted the ball out of the end zone for the Lions and beat them down. But Justin Fields, man, he handled it like a man. His prep post game, I read that and I was really respectful of him. He's like, we lost to a great team. We should have beat them. We blew it. And he owned up. I liked Fields for that. And I'm really up and down on Fields. He's a mad talent. But they're going into Minnesota, who's been out, and I think we've both been gloating on Dobbs. Like, what a great story. Minnesota, I killed them 6 weeks ago. They were, I guess, 2-4, whatever they were. I sold them. They were done. Then they got the freaking genius level of that freaking trade deadline move for Dobbs that cost them nothing, a 6th-round pick or whatever it was. For Dobbs, who'd been playing his heart out at Arizona, who's the worst team in the NFL, arguably. And now, all of a sudden, Minnesota is a legit wild card threat, and they deserve it, man. And I hate Minnesota. As a Lions fan, I hate the Vikings. But, man, they're a good story, and they deserve it. They're hosting the Bears. Fields is playing for his respect and career. What did you come out with here? Because this is a bigger game than I think anybody would have thought it would have been at this point.
I think the over. I'm not going to touch the spread, but I do think the Vikings win. Justin Jefferson is supposed to play this week.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big one. The Bears just don't have the defense to deal with Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson. Like that's I think Minnesota can win with weapons against this Bears team.
It's amazing what Dobbs has done, and even I'll give Cousins his due. He was having his best year as a pro. Sadly, he gets hurt.
He was playing good. Good. I mean, you give a guy that many weapons, you give him time.
And he was having his best year even when Jefferson went. I'm like, this team is up against it, folks. And we actually had a guest host on the show earlier. Big Tasty Sports was on the show. Like, I think it was my second show I did on the NFL this year, like week 5 or 6. And he's a Vikings guy. And I'm like, you're done. Your team sucks, blah, blah, blah. And that was with Jefferson and with Cousins. They lost both of them. And, man, they're just as good without him. I mean, they're better. They're winning. And Dobbs is good, dude. I'm not saying that. I think
actually, as of a minute ago, I just got an ESPN alert. Jefferson is not playing.
Okay.
So
all right, I'm glad you looked.
I still think Minnesota wins.
Yep.
I still think they win. I don't know if I'm going to touch that. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to touch the over under at 45 at that point without Jefferson. Yeah, I'm kind of expecting when Jefferson does come back, his return game, he's going to have like 8 catches for like 130 yards and a touchdown. Yeah. Like, I'm expecting him to come back with like a huge effort.
If Minnesota wins this game, and they should, they're at home. And the Bears are one of the bottom 3 or 4 teams in the league. They're back in this thing, and they're back in it in a big way because you see how nobody's coming out of the South except the champion. Seattle seems like they could. I mean, they're on the ledge of falling off a cliff here too. The Seahawks. I mean, what are they? 6 and I don't have a whole lot of. I think Minnesota is probably just as good as Seattle or better. There's nobody in the South. What else do we have? The NFC East. You have Dallas is obviously going to be a wild card at worst. Dallas and Philly are in.
I mean, Minnesota is 7. Minnesota is sitting 7th right now at 6 and they're the only team in the NFC at 6.
Minnesota is the team who deserves it at 7. Like, I mean, they're better than those. They're better than anybody in the South. They're better than any.
Yep.
They're close with Seattle, I think, and they're better than anybody in the East, besides obviously Philly and Dallas, because the North and South both suck.
Yep.
So there you have it, folks. I mean, and I think for the record, give me the Vikings and give me the over because the Bears defense is horrible. I mean, you saw If you watch that Lions game, and it was an ugly game, Goff has his third full season on the Lions. I'm a Goff guy. That was the worst he's played as a Lion by far. It was so bad. He threw it could have been 5 interceptions. He threw 2 that were dropped. It could have been worse. And one was a pick 6, and the corner dropped it. It was a pick 6. He was horrible. And I love Goff. But the Bears, I mean, they are worthless.
Yeah.
Fields did Fields things. The Lions defense is, I think they're middle of the pack. Up and down.
Fields needs to win the game to play for it. Fields is basically playing for his starting job, in my opinion.
Fields almost beat the Lions by himself. I mean, there was nobody else on that field.
I don't see how they keep Justin Fields as their starter if they have a top 5 pick. As sad as it is, I think he'll go. I think he'll go somewhere. I think just as a Bear, I think he's basically playing the rest of this season for his starting job. Franchise. Otherwise, I think he's got a very good chance of going somewhere. I think he's talented. He's not great, but he's definitely not I don't think he's a bottom 10 quarterback like he's played this year for the Bears. I think he's middle of the pack. He definitely can have his games where he looks like a top 10 quarterback. But I also don't think the Bears.
I don't know if you watched that. I doubt anybody.
Yeah, the Bears organization just does nothing for him. Yeah, and I really think that's what's going to happen. I mean, because the Bears have Carolina's first round pick.
You know what he reminds me of? And here's what I was going to say. My ceiling, Justin Fields' complete ceiling. Let's say it's a Michael Vick, and Michael Vick never won anything. And I know Michael Vick's a wild talent, so that's a big statement. I'm saying Justin Fields, if he reaches the height of what he could possibly reach, is Michael Vick. And Vick didn't win. Give me Hurts, give me Goff, give me just one of these guys. Give me Tua. Give me, I'm looking at this thing here. Give me Trevor. Give me about half the league over Justin Fields. He is an immaculate athlete. He's incredible.
The issue that the Bears really struggled with early this season was that they were like, hey, we know you're good at running. We don't want you to run. We want you to throw the ball. They sucked.
And that's Baltimore. Baltimore's going through it with Lamar. And guess what? Lamar can throw, though.
Right. Lamar has been getting a lot better at throwing. He really has.
Lamar's having his best year as a pro. And
he's throwing the ball.
He needs some coaches to say, hey, you're going to throw the ball. Stop running.
Mm-hmm. But that's the thing is, though, is what they're doing with Lamar, though, is they're letting Lamar still be Lamar, but they're also not putting the entire game plan on, okay, Lamar, you're going to carry the ball 20 times. Throw the ball if you don't have the run. They're like, hey, Lamar, we're going to run 10 runs for you this game. We're also going to run 15 plays where we're expecting you to throw. And the balance is working. The Bears just don't have that balance because they're going, hey, either win the game with your legs or, hey, you're going to stand back in the pocket the whole game and pass. I think if they ever bring a coach
who's DJ Moore is like that ideal, perfect second receiver to me. He's not a premier. I'll die on this hill. He's great. He's great. Don't get me wrong, but he's the Harper to Michael Irvin. He's the whatever. He's the second guy. He needs a guy.
Yeah, they also need They don't. I mean, they tried to bring in people and it didn't work. They need a coach.
If Kelsey just needs, the Chiefs just need if they had DJ Moore, now DJ Moore would be lethal there.
Yep.
You got Kelsey and Moore.
It would be gross. The Bears need a coach that actually understands how to coach.
He's a mess.
He's bad. And it's going to come. They're going to get rid of him. And hopefully whoever they bring in likes Justin Fields for his sake. Otherwise, I think Justin Fields is going to be playing for somebody else next year. But I don't think he's done. I don't think he's as bad as his stats make.
I respect him way more after this last game than I ever did before.